Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today we're looking at something that is absolutely going to shift your entire understanding of the human timeline. Through a series of just mind-blowing archaeological discoveries, the story of our past is literally being rewritten right beneath our feet. As you'll see, history is definitely not as settled as we might think.
Okay, let's dive into this. What if everything you learned in history class was, well, completely wrong? I know, it sounds like massive hyperbole, right? But the textbooks we all grew up reading, the ones that laid out that nice, neat, tidy progression of human evolution and migration, they're officially outdated. And it's all thanks to a wave of fresh, undeniable archaeological data.
Section 1. The Broken Human Timeline. Rewriting the Textbooks. So right now, we're facing this massive conflict of information. On one hand, we have the old story, our comfortable, established timelines of human origins, migration, and the dawn of intelligence. But colliding head-on with that is this new reality, where startling, fresh discoveries are pushing dates back not just by a few centuries, but literally by hundreds of thousands of years. It's a classic anchor and twist. We anchor ourselves to a known fact, and then one single artifact gets pulled from the dirt and completely shatters that entire paradigm. Section 2. Older than we thought, pushing back origins. Okay, so the old story told us modern humans first appeared about 200,000 years ago in East Africa. But let me tell you a quick story. Back in 1961, miners working in Morocco hit a layer of rock and pull up human bones. For decades, they were just filed away as a weird outlier. But in the 2000s, a team went back to that site, Jebel Irhoud, and found even more skulls and tools. Using modern radiation dating on burnt flint tools found right next to the bones, they got a date of 315,000 years old. Guys, that blows past the old timeline by over 100,000 years. And what's even wilder is that these skulls have flat, relatively modern human faces, but long, low brain cases, kind of like older human species. It's this fascinating in-between step that we had completely missed. Now, what's really interesting about this next piece is the staggering number. 3.3 million. Get this, in 2011, near Lake Turkana in Kenya, a team of researchers actually took a wrong turn. Totally by accident, they stumbled upon a collection of stone tools. When they dated the volcanic ash layers around these tools, the number came back at an unbelievable 3.3 million years old. This discovery represents a massive leap in our timeline. These tools are 700,000 years older than the previous oldest records from Ethiopia. To put that into perspective, Homo erectus didn't even exist yet. And some of these pieces were so big that whoever made them had to use both hands just to brace the rock against something solid to strike it. The likely creators? Australopithecus, or a close relative. This is an ancestor previously thought to have a brain not much bigger than a chimpanzee's, yet here they were, actively engineering tools. Section 3. Smarter than we knew. Shattering the scavenger myth. For the longest time, we've held on to this scavenger myth. It's the idea that early humans barely scraped by on leftover carcasses abandoned by lions. But the new reality points to highly coordinated hunters. In the 1990s, workers in a German coal mine hit this layer of ancient lake mud and found 8 perfectly preserved wooden spears. Now, wood almost never survives, but the wet mud completely sealed them in. They date back 300,000 years, and they were aerodynamically weighted toward the front third, exactly like a modern javelin. Actually, modern athletes threw replicas of these things, and they flew incredibly accurately. And found right beside them, the butchered remains of nearly 20 wild horses, all killed at the exact same spot. This absolutely wasn't scavenging. This was early humans executing planned, organized hunts to corner whole herds. And this brilliantly illustrates the true birth of culture. Take the Blombos cave discoveries in South Africa. Excavated since the 90s, researchers found these amazing little pieces of ochre with intentional crosshatch patterns, along with sea snail shells with holes worn through them, clearly used as necklaces. They date between 75,000 and 100,000 years old. Now, for a long time, archaeologists figured arts and crafts didn't show up until right before the Agricultural Revolution. Maybe, 10,000 years ago? These small, easily missed artifacts completely blew open the timeline of early art. Section 4. The Americas Mystery. Rewriting the map. The textbook version you probably learned in school is built around the Clovis culture, stating humans arrived in North America about 13,000 years ago. But then, we have the White Sands footprints. In 2009, out in New Mexico, footprints from families, teenagers, and young kids were found totally locked in Ice Age mud. Researchers dated ditch grass seeds buried in the exact same layers and got a rock-solid date, 21,000 to 23,000 years old. These tracks show families just walking back and forth, completely breaking the Clovis barrier by 10,000 years, right during the peak of the last ice age. Which brings up an absolutely fascinating mystery. Did humans reach California 100,000 years early? In 1992, road crews expanding a freeway in San Diego County dug up a pile of mastodon bones. Nobody thought much of it at the time, and they just went into storage. But a shocking 2017 study brought them zooming back into the spotlight.
The Cerruti mastodon site is now the center of a massive controversy. On one side, we have a site dated to roughly 130,000 years old. The evidence? Mastodon bones snapped in a way perfectly consistent with someone smashing fresh bone from marrow, sitting right next to large rocks with hammer and anvil wear marks. If true, this means an early human species was in California a full 100,000 years earlier than expected. No way, right? Well, on the other side, skeptics counter-argue that the damage was simply caused by the heavy construction equipment from that original 1992 dig. Now, we aren't here to pick a side today, but looking at how these two perspectives clash really shows us just how unresolved and wildly dynamic the field of archaeology truly is today.
Section 5. We were not alone. A crowded world. Let's move to and see how this builds into a completely different realization about our past. We used to think Homo sapiens walked alone, but consider the Denisovans, discovered from a tiny pinky bone in a Siberian cave dating back 40,000 years, or Homo floresiensis in Indonesia, 50,000 years ago. These hobbits were only 1 meter tall with chimp-sized brains, yet they used tools, fire, and even hunted extinct tiny elephants. Modern humans didn't just replace these species, we actually shared the planet with them. And we didn't just share the planet, we intermingled. Amazingly, 4 to 6% of DNA in certain modern populations comes directly from Denisovans. When scientists sequenced that tiny Siberian pinky bone, they found that populations today in places like Papua New Guinea and parts of Melanesia actually carry this ancient genetic signature. The Denisovans didn't just quietly die out, they quite literally live on in us. And it wasn't just different species coexisting. It was vastly different advanced cultures, too. Take the Sangsangdui pits in China. In 1986, brick factory workers in Sichuan province hit 2 large pits. Inside, they found these incredible bronze masks with huge, protruding, almost goggle-like eyes, bronze trees standing over 3 feet tall, and a massive, highly detailed 6-foot bronze statue. Dated between 1200 and 1000 BCE, this was a totally parallel, unwritten civilization that existed alongside the Shang dynasty in the north, but with a completely different artistic style. It proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that multiple highly advanced cultures were thriving simultaneously, completely unrecorded by the dominant historical narratives. Section 6. History is still evolving. The unwritten future. So, the crucial point is this. History is fluid. It's an ongoing conversation, directly tied to the ground beneath our feet. If one bone can rewrite history, what is still waiting to be found? Whether it's a footprint frozen in the mud, a smashed mastodon bone, or a tiny pinky finger in a Siberian cave, every single new discovery reminds us of the massive, undiscovered stretches of the human story. Keep questioning what you read, stay curious, and remember that our past is still waiting to be uncovered. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.